Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Guess what? Today's show is basically your show. And why is it your show? Well, you know what? I am saying, why is it your show? It has always been your show. The difference here, my friends, is that, well, let me give you a mea culpa. And the mea culpa goes like this. This morning I got up at 4 a.m. because I had to get ready to go into town, go into Houston. I had to go ahead and head off to KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston, because our radio station is in 90.1 is in fund drive mode. Being in fund drive mode and having done stayed up till probably, I guess it was a little after 1 a.m. So I just got about 3 hours of sleep. And to go out there to pitch for the station, I really didn't have time to sit down and write a blog of the week. So what is the best thing anyway? The best thing then is to say to my wonderful, wonderful listeners is as follows. My brothers and sisters, please go ahead and be, what is it that I call you today? I want you to tell me, I want you guys to go out there and say, Egberto, answer this. Egberto, answer that. And just go that way. If you don't come up with anything initially, I have a lot to talk about. But since it's something that I haven't written yet, I would love for it to be you who dictate what we're going to be talking about. So let me go ahead and pull it up and see if anybody has said anything yet, because I'd love to hear. Oh, wow. People start already. Okay, yay, here at the start. We are at the start. Maka Rudnan says, Climate March I tell you what, let me get the show started first. And it goes like this. Para ver. Our title of the show is Tell Me What You Want to Talk About Thursday. That's what it is. Tell me what you want to talk about Thursday. Or call in. Subtitle, call me at 646-716-5812. Tweet me at Egberto Willies using the Politics Done Right hashtag. Comment on the Facebook Live page at facebook.com/Politics Done Right. Or comment at youtube.com/Egberto Willies and tell me what you want. Okay, like the post office, whether it rains or whether it shines, absent a hurricane or some natural or physical disaster, we broadcast Politics Done Right. It doesn't matter what happened the night before. It doesn't matter if we got sleep or not. It doesn't matter if I'm out of town. It doesn't matter if I'm in a car. It doesn't matter if I'm on a plane. Politics Done Right, daily at 3 p.m. Because you know what? Life doesn't wait. Politics doesn't wait. And therefore, we are here 3 p.m. every weekday. Sometimes even from riding buses, airplanes, hotel rooms, and conference centers. And guess what? I've done Politics Done Right from each one of those. The only one that was difficult was the airplane. And that was the only thing I was able to do when I got strapped into the airplane was to cue something that I pre-taped, took off and said, I hope I did it right. Boom! And we'll take off to, I don't remember where I was flying to that time, some other conference. Anyway, today I was up early pitching to raise funds for KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Last night I was up late processing some time-sensitive videos. There was no time to arrange a specific topic. But with so much going on, we can cover many or any topic you want. And that is what we will do. As I tell you always, this is your show, and you can change its direction anytime, whether or not I have a topic. So folks, Vamos, let's get busy. The attack, okay, let me go with Rudman. Rudman says, Climate March 2019 is happening tomorrow at multiple locations across the nations. And he gave the address, the Common Dreams address. 2 months after what was reportedly the largest international climate demonstration ever, young people around the world are expected to make history again on Friday with a second global climate strike. Have you noticed that you haven't heard a whole lot about this on TV, guys? Have you noticed that? Have you really noticed that? Anyway, continue in 16-year-old Greta Thunberg. That was a girl, I think, in Switzerland. I think it's Switzerland, or I hope it says it there. Who began the global movement in which students around the world have walked out of the classrooms on a weekly basis since last fall. Demand climate action reported Tuesday that at least 1,351 separate strikes are now scheduled to take place all over the world on Friday. Thank you for that information, Senor Radnen. Climate justice advocates plan to walk out of their schools and workplaces on every continent on the globe in more than 100 countries. We all have to walk out and speak out for the environmental future of the young. Governments just won't do it unless we tell them to do that first. I love that attitude. We are the government. So therefore, when we say government won't do it, what we mean is the corporate run portion of the government. We have to make government our own again. Government of the people, by the people. Yeah, thank you for telling me, Michael Rudnan. Sweden. Yeah. I said Switzerland, didn't I? Thank you, my brother. Appreciate that. You know, Michael Rudnan is one of our regulars, and he's always there to correct the record. Thank you, buddy. We all have to walk out and speak out for the environmental future of the young. Governments just won't do it unless we tell them they must. And that is what we must tell them they must. Joseph Sanden says, yes, here at the start. Thank you, Joseph, for being here. Mark Conrad, I imagine I'm looking at a thing, so I think you're inviting somebody. Yeah, invite all those folks over. Let's see. The attack on labor unions since 1947 with the Taft-Hartley Act. Now, let me be very honest with you. I'm not up on the letter of the Taft-Hartley. Actually, it's, I think, Taft-Hartley, right? I think it's Hartley, but I could be wrong. But what I can tell you is that the war on unions escalated. First of all, there's always been a war on unions, right? But it escalated after PATCO. I don't know if anybody remember PATCO, when Ronald Reagan, when the airline pilot, not pilots, but the traffic controllers wanted to get better benefits and monies. Reagan gave them an ultimatum: you cannot strike. And they went ahead and struck, and he said, if you don't get back to work, I'll fire you. And he fired them all, and it was upheld in the courts. Was that right? Was that, I have no idea. Well, no, of course it's not right. So, I mean, that's what's happened there. And ever since, the truth of the matter is, the heads of unions were always scared then, because now it was an attack on unions. It was an attack like no other. Okay, Michael Rudnan said, share that info, please. I think I shared it. Now, you guys can actually share the info on the page itself. Let me also check the Twitter to see if anybody went ahead and started tagging. But anyhow, my friends, let's continue. Rudnan says, okay, let's go. Reagan was right because it was in their contract. Okay, you want to expand on that? Because the contract said you couldn't strike, right? What's the purpose of a union if you can't strike? You just negotiate, and if the master tells you no, you do absolutely nothing. Is that what you're saying, Rudnan? That somehow they should obey a clause, a coercive clause that had no place in that document, and say, oh, well, they don't want to give us what we want, so therefore, since they won't give us what we want and we can't strike, we just have to accept it? I'm sorry. That has never computed with me. Whenever you have a bad law, you disobey the bad law. If attempting to change it is not effective. And that's where I'm at. So I completely disagree with you, my brother, but hey, that happens. Okay, let's see here. Devoid of Watley Show by Smithy, Rani beating a gun. Okay, let's see. I think I'm looking at, is that today? 1 hour ago. Now, this is how one should play politics, not by accusing and doing personal attacks, but by working with people of your constituency. Politics done right. There is no substitute for hard work. Thank you so kindly for that message. I'm still on Twitter as well. Okay, going back to, let's see, this one is coming from Facebook. Reagan was right according to Mike Cisak. Joseph Sandin says, Jamie McGolan, 0 Hour inspired Greta Thunberg. That's great, the 0 Hour hashtag. Okay, Michael Rudden says, we could talk about the million species that are going to go extinct to our civilization. That's 1 out of 8. And what's interesting about that, somebody's on the line as well. I'm coming to you next, telephone caller. Michael Rudnan, you know what a lot of people don't understand with extinction? They think, okay, so this particular animal is no longer there, or this particular plant is extinct. What they don't understand is we live in a chain. And if you extinct out a particular animal or particular plant, that reduces that entire chain's viability. And it starts eventually to go down, the fallen dominoes. Okay. 973, you're on. Come on in.
Egberto, how are you today?
This sounds like Johnny.
Hello? It's Johnny. How are you?
All right, Johnny, talk to me, my brother. Today is open season, so you guys can talk about anything, change the subject, do as you please.
Of course. I just want you to know, as we pitter through history here, and we're coming to the end of Reaganism.
Yes,
it
sir.
was from 1980 to 2008.
Yeah.
And we still haven't kind of figured out where we're going to go from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this question. If it turns out that we actually get proof that Trump was in cahoots with the Russians,
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to go back and undo his presidency?
Yes.
Or do you feel like that's a bridge too far?
Nope. Let me tell you something, okay? I have been, first of all, I've been telling people for the longest time, and you know the advice I've been given, forget about all this this impeachment stuff, forget about doing all this investigation. No, let the investigation go on. What I was telling people is, let Democrats not concentrate on that issue. And the reason I didn't want to do that is I wanted all the issues that concerned us, student loans, etc. I am
Right.
at the point now where I think Trump has gotten so bad that he's a clear and present danger. And at that point,
Article 25.
Right. At that point, I think our democracy then is in danger. And that is why I think I have changed my position and say now Democrats have got to engage with how bad this guy is and how corrupt this guy is. That's my point now.
So the question then becomes, if his presidency turns out to be, I don't know, an illegal presidency, because it looks like that's where we're going with all this, then what do you do? Because remember, any fruit from the poison tree is poison fruit.
Right.
To me, you would have to take Kavanaugh, and you'd have to take Gorsuch
I
off
agree.
the Supreme Court.
Oh yes, I agree because it would have been these would have been stolen positions, right?
Right.
So I mean that would
Absolutely.
so I am with you, and what I'm saying is here's a problem that I see. However, there's not. I don't know if there is really a constitutional remedy. Okay. I could be wrong. I'm not a constitutional scholar or anything like that, but I don't know that there exists a constitutional remedy. So I think these are issues that would have to be placed in the on something that people would have to vote on. It may even require something like a hurried up constitutional amendment or something like that. Now, of course, the way our structure is, that would present a problem because the way because our country is not really a democracy, that makes it a bit more difficult to do that. But I think that is what we should be working on.
Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think that it seems that every time Trump opens his mouth, he's on tilt and he's actually self-incriminating?
Yes.
I mean, it's gotten to the point where I don't even know, and what's really scary is what if the Supreme Court comes down against him on all these things that are in court, and it goes to the Supreme Court, they rule against Trump, and then Trump just simply ignores it.
Well, I mean,
just says, you know what, I don't have to listen to you.
That point about just ignoring, I don't know that he really can do that. I mean, I think that statement is overblown, right? I mean, he can only do that if he says, "I'm not leaving the White House," and the Capitol Police or the D.C. Police or whatever, whoever it is that would go and vacate the White House, says we are in support and we won't act. And then the military comes out and says we are in support and we won't act. That's the only possibility for something like that to occur.
But Egberto, I got to tell you, there's been historical precedent for this. Remember, Andrew Jackson went against the Supreme Court and did the Trail of Tears anyway.
Right.
And even though he went against the Supreme Court and then got reelected.
Well,
and you notice that Trump has Andrew Jackson all over his White House.
And that's probably the reason why. And, you know, in that case, our democracy is dead. Okay?
Oh, no, don't say that. No, don't say that.
What I'm saying is, what I mean is this, okay? If we are saying that we are going to allow a minority of the country, because of the way our system is set up to rule, we're no longer in a democracy, and there are two options out of that. And the second option, I don't want to even entertain, right? Because
let me ask you this question. Let me get you here.
Yes.
Didn't we establish with Abraham Lincoln that the system is not designed to take itself apart? Like, in other words, even though we may not have a remedy for what Trump is doing, isn't the system itself, the Constitution, designed to protect itself? In other words, when the South tried to secede, Lincoln correctly said, "No, you guys can't do that. No, we can invoke our right to break away and establish our own new country." And it was like, "No, you can't do that because the Constitution is not designed to destroy itself.
But you know what?
It's designed to protect itself."
Yeah, and if the South had won the war, then the Constitution would not have worked, and the South could have won the war. So I mean, the truth of the matter.
Well, the goal was never to win the war. They never planned on winning. They knew they couldn't win that war.
Right.
They didn't have the manpower. They didn't have the money. And by the way, they didn't have the support of France or England to win that war.
The thing about it is chaos would have been good, and not only that, but just a truce would have been good for them. But here's what I honestly think about that, though, right? I think that people put too much emphasis on the Constitution as if it were written by God. I think they act as if it were written in stone by God, and I think what Trump has shown is the Constitution is only as good as the people willing to live by those rules. And I think everybody has always known that, but somehow because we are of a certain culture, we are a certain sanity. And what I've told people a long time, I'm from Panama, Central America, and what I tell people all of the time is, given the same conditions that occur in these third world countries, given the same conditions, starving people in pain, a large percentage of the population hurting, you get the same results. And you know who knows that? Trump and all the plutocrats know that. And you know why we have all the hate, and you know why we have all the people hating on each other? Because if absent that hate, the people revolt against the plutocrats. So we have our white brothers and sisters revolting against each other. In other words, our white brothers and sisters think that we are trying to take something away from them. Our black brothers and sisters think that, given slavery, these guys are, it's just a mess, and these guys are hammering it. That's the reason I talk to everybody. That's the reason I talk to my Trumpists. I love my Trumpists. I love everybody. And the reason why I will always talk to them and disagree with them wholeheartedly, but I will continue to talk to them, and not only that, I'll stick up for them if somebody tries to hurt them. And the reason why is if we don't do that, the plutocrats would have won. You see, I know, deep in my heart, I know that the plutocrats are infesting us with all these diseases of hate. And the reason they do that is if we ever realize how much the masses have in common, if we ever realize that, the plutocrats cannot stand, because they are all standing on our backs. It's not the black person standing on the white person back or anything like that. It's the plutocrats all screwing us.
Agreed. And I got to tell you, I think this goes back to the fact, this is going to sound terrible, and I hate to blame Obama, but when Obama let Bush off the hook for the weapons of mass destruction lie that got us into 2 wars, there should have been some form of accountability. I'm not saying put the man in jail, but I'm saying at least censure Bush for that, and Cheney and those guys. And instead, they got rich.
Right. And you know what? The thing about it is Obama played the game as well. Obama went ahead and Obama was the drone president of the world. Obama blew so much up. But the thing about America, right, is we don't read foreign newspapers and we don't listen to foreign news. So while we are destroying the countries throughout the world, Americans don't know. So one of the things that I tell people all the time is we cannot blame when Americans say silly things. When you have a lot of right-wingers who know very little about what's going on the outside, or whose message from the outside is catered through Fox News or NBC or whatever, I cannot hold it against them that they know so little about what's going on throughout the world and what the American plutocracy is doing around the world. So how can I then, when they say something silly, just hold them accountable for that? I don't. What I did as politics done right is said I was going to be part of the solution. In other words, I was going to be part of those folks that are going to do something to enlighten these folks. Now, if these folks hear me, listen to my evidence, and still decide that they want to be willfully ignorant, at that point, I can't do anything about that.
Well, let me ask you this question. You know that it was Barr that wrote the memo that said it was okay for the FBI to go into Panama and arrest Noriega. The FBI is supposed to be a domestic agency. Mm-hmm. They have no right to go into Panama and arrest Noriega.
Well, you just taught me.
And what I'm saying to you is, if Barr wrote that memo, how does Barr get confirmed? In today's, he wrote that memo in like '88.
Right, that was way back.
How did he get confirmed to be the AG in 2019?
I'll be honest, I had no clue of that. But, that's what I tell you. I have the smartest listeners on the planet, bar none.
Yeah, and what I would say, and the other thing is, we did a lot of damage down in Panama, and I would just say to you, I look at that as a crucible for what's happening here in America.
Right.
And you think about how where Panama should have been, because look, you can't get mad at the Panamanians for being in a very important piece of land. They had the most valuable land.
Yeah, it was the thinnest.
And for that, we have always kind of kept our thumb on top of them. And then of course when the people have a person like Noriega rise up, and then of course America says, okay, we're going to put the kibosh on that. Not the CIA, but the FBI.
Right.
And it's Barr. It's Barr that does it. And that's crazy to me. And so this guy is still operating in a system where he's doing things that are illegal and wrong, and they're lying about it, and they just keep going with it.
Right.
And I don't, Egberto, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that, we Americans are notoriously, Americans have the memory, we have the memories of a goldfish, 3 seconds.
Right.
And it's a whole new world, every 3 seconds. So I'm just reminding you that like, holding these people accountable is important.
Right.
But the thing is, I think that the problem that I have with my fellow American citizens is that we're complicit. Mm-hmm. We are complicit.
We're absolutely complicit. Now, I want to
I'm going to let you go. I'm sorry, I didn't take all your time.
No, that's all. Thank you so kindly for calling in. I appreciate the call. Folks, I would love to hear from other people. Thank you
for
very much.
taking it.
You have a wonderful day, my friend. Okay, folks, I'd like to hear from more of you on the phone if you'd like. That is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I want to go back to something that Daniel Ledo said. Daniel Ledo said, want to talk about the end run the left is doing on the Electoral College. Actually, it's not an end run, Daniel Ledo. And let me explain what Daniel Ledo is talking about, because it seems like some people in the forum don't understand what he's talking about. Right now, as we know, Donald Trump received 3 million votes less people voted for Donald Trump than for Hillary Clinton. That means if this sort of thing continues, right, because of the way we're dispersed in this country, a lot of progressive people live in cities, a lot of more conservative people live in rural areas. And if it turns out that that particular state is governed by Republicans, and the same applies to Democrats, but not as bad, but Republicans, the way they draw the lines are as follows. I live in Houston. You would not imagine the amount of different representatives are out of Houston. Why? Because the way they do it is they want, since the cities are generally very democratic, very highly democratic and very populous. What they do is they cut the city up like a pie and then attach it to a huge rural area. So what you constantly get is a delusion of the Democratic or progressive vote. So let's say in a city you have 1 million Democrats and you have 500,000, and the rest of the state is 500,000 Republicans. You can still draw a map where you end up with mostly Republicans. Check out Pennsylvania. Mostly Republicans are carrying the majority of that caucus because they throw all the Democrats into 90-10 districts, meaning 90% Democratic districts, and then the rest they make it, 40% Democrat, 50%, 60% Republican, or 45-55. And that way they ensure that they get, they manipulate the system to get the type of person that they want of the particular party. So we have been governed by a minority for the longest time. In other words, every time people say we let the people speak, the people constantly speak. The people constantly say we are progressive. We want what the Democrats have to offer. People say that all of the times. The problem is the way the districts are drawn, we never get a chance to do so. Now, here's the other kicker. There are some states that are undeniably Republican. We can look at Idaho. We can look at the Dakotas and these areas. These are decidedly red states, Republican states. However, these states have very small populations, very, very small. I mean, some of them are 30-1. California may have 40-something million people or however many million people, and one of the Dakotas may have under 1 million people. Both of them get 2 senators, so they're weighted. So one senator in California represents about 20 million people, and another senator and a senator in Dakota represents 500,000 people. That's not democracy. Now, guys like Ledo would say, but we were never a democracy. We were a democratic republic. Okay, that may have been good in the constitutional days when it was formed, when things were quite a bit different. We are a very mobile society, and nobody really has allegiances to states, the big states. They have allegiances to the small states because nobody wants to live there. And that's, I don't mean to say that to be a pejorative, but it's the truth. Not very many people want to live in North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho. A lot of people don't care to live in those places. But those places are overpowered with their political power. It's completely untenable. It's completely wrong. Now, there's a group that got together. I don't quite remember the name of the group, but the idea about it is this: if we get enough states that equal 270 electoral votes, we get enough states that equal 270 electoral votes. They follow the constitutional rules that says those electors can choose whoever they want for president. And that's the law. That's constitutional. The constitutional says that the electors of that state decides how those electors are apportioned. Okay? That's what the Constitution says. And those electors could elect a mouse if they wanted to. Those electors can elect whatever they want to. So once enough states that equal 270 electoral votes get together, they say, immaterial to who wins in our state, we will attach our electors to whoever got the popular vote. That is not only constitutional, it is democratic, and it removes one of the aberrations that can be used within the Constitution to keep us or to make us an undemocratic republic. I hope I explained that in a manner that folks understand, because it is a very important concept. The thievery, when Bush was elected, a lot of changes got done into this country from a minority of people who got him elected. Trump got elected and he's governing as if he has a mandate. And the reality is he has no mandate because most people didn't want him. Let's remember that. So most of what he does is really not worth it. Okay, let's see what else I have from my good people here. So I hope you understand what Ledo was talking about there. Okay, he says now. Okay. Egberto doesn't. He knows what he's talking about. There we go. It appears we have both sides of. Yeah, we always have both sides of the issues. I have conservatives and progressives on my show, and I love them both. Ledo, you know I love you, even though I think I still have to crack your mind, but we'll work on it slowly, brother. Okay, yeah, sure, Egberto, we ate onto your lies. You love your conservative brothers and sisters, yet you slander them constantly. Just vocalizing a lie does not make it true. No, brother, I do not slander you. I do not slander you at all. You get upset when I tell you that if you don't support the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, that you are an accomplice to murder. I've told you that to your face, Mr. Ledo, and I will continue to say that. I don't think it's something I don't think it's something that you should go to jail for, but I'm saying that is the outcome of your vote and your support for those who don't extend the Affordable Care, the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care is tantamount to murder. Okay, and I know you don't see it that way, and that is okay. I hope that when you do see it that way, you will ask your Lord, you know I'm a humanist, but I know you're a Christian, you'll ask your Lord for forgiveness. Because for those of you who are Christian, that has been one of the most unchristian things to do. Let me go to the phone. Come on in. 573, I believe. Come on in.
Yes,
Come on in.
Mike.
Hey, Mike, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, not too bad.
Talk to me. Sir.
Are you still talking about the electors and the electoral college and all that?
I just did, but if you want to add, you can. If you want to add to the debate on that, you can, my friend.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw an endpoint to that. Here's a little problem that if Democrats, I understand they're bitter because of the loss last 2016, but
and 2000.
I think they really need to think. Yeah, they really need to think things through a little bit, because basically what happens is, say this change gets passed, okay, and that the electors are appointed to whoever the national popular vote is, okay, and that's pretty much what they're aiming for.
Right.
Okay, say California, New York, and all these other blue states, they're pretty much dead reliable.
They're reliable Democrat, but they're not only Democrat. Yes.
Yeah. Right. So, if the 2020 election happens, for example, okay, it's just example, and Trump wins the national popular vote, along with the electoral. Basically, California, New York, and all these other reliably blue states are going to have their electors assigned to Trump.
Yes.
So basically, you're going to have like a 49-state blowout.
Yes, and I am for that. Yes. And let me tell you why.
Okay, so
I am for. And you're right, Mike. You're absolutely right that it cut both ways, right? And I don't mind that. What I want is I want real democracy. If I am not able to convince, when I say I'm talking about progressives like me. If we are not able to convince, let me tell you better, Mike. I think right now at this point in time, Trump is on the path, the gliding path, to win not only the popular vote but also the electoral college. That is my theory right now. I get sliced to pieces.
Just saying.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying.
You agree with me?
Do you think? No, how pissed do you think the Democrats are going to be in those states who actually did popular vote for the Democrat candidate and are having their electors taken away to represent them
if they're
for a candidate that they did not vote for?
If they are intellectually honest. If they're intellectually honest, they would say the following.
Right.
They would say the following. They would say,
no,
we want the vote, the person who won the election, we want to be in the White House. If that president who represents everybody wins most of the votes, every human being has the same value, the same worth. If that person makes it to the White House, I don't care if it's Republican, Democrat, or whatever. That person who gets the votes should be in the White House. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I think the following. I'm going to work my butt off to ensure that Donald Trump doesn't get there again. But right now, I think because of many strategic errors that we're making right now, he could win just like Bush lost the election in 2000, but then in 2004, likely won both the electoral votes and the popular vote. I think Trump is on a path to do just that as well. A lot of Democrats and progressives think I'm a fool for thinking that. But I see the breakdown in. I actually wrote a piece at Daily Kos that says the tariff. I can see the tariff being an advantage for Trump. They think I'm stupid for saying that. What do you think?
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't look strategically down the road,
Right.
like the Chinese do.
Right.
The Chinese are looking 10, 20, 30 years down the road.
Right.
They got it almost all planned out. Okay. The only thing that that is their Achilles heel is that their economy is built on cheap labor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if we make it very expensive for them, for all these companies that are over there to work there, all those companies are going to, and they actually already started.
Mm-hmm.
A whole bunch of companies are going to start leaving China for all the different countries. Yeah, for all the different countries out there. Basically, what you do is you turn China into a paper tiger,
Mm-hmm.
and then they don't have power. You know, the economic power is what really drives the political world, and that's what really Trump is actually going for. A lot of people just don't see that. They think, oh, pain, pain, pain. Well, please, you know, think more than a few days.
Let me tell you something.
Think strategically.
Rudnin. I mean, you're not Rudnin. You're CSEC, right? Let me tell you
CSEC,
something.
yeah.
CSEC. Let me tell you something, okay? I disagree with you on almost everything, but on that point, you're absolutely right. Because people don't look through different levels of indirection, and you see, that's what I saw a long time ago, right? The plutocracy is going to get what the plutocracy wants until we blow the plutocracy up. And you hit it on the money. The plutocracy is not China. The plutocracy are a whole bunch of wealthy people that go to Davos, and all the different economies are just cogs. That's all they are. And I want you to admit that as well, CSAC. The United States, China, Vietnam, Panama, Colombia, all of them are just manufacturing agencies for the plutocracy. And the plutocracy just chases cheap labor around the world. And that's all that's going to happen. And what Trump is doing, yes, Trump may blow up China. That may be true. But in the process of blowing up China, in the medium term, America will get back some industry, but most of it is going to go elsewhere, and nothing for the American worker will really change. But enough of the blowing up will give him 4 more years. Why it won't give the next Republican a deal? It will give Trump another 4 more years. What I'm trying to get guys like you to understand, CSAC and Ledo and whatever, why I always say we are on the same team, is that you are just a cog as well. You're a business person as well, right? If I'm not a small businessman, right?
Yeah.
You're a small businessman.
Small farm.
Right. You don't
Family farm, yeah.
Right. You don't qualify. You're defending that which you do not qualify from. You are actually on my team, and I recognize you as somebody on my team. I know it's hard to accept. Go ahead.
Right. Let me make quick point on that. There's a reason why I disagree.
Okay.
I look at it from a small family farm who is surrounded by small family farms. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's kind of like the way it still is. It's a dying art,
right?
How they see it, but you know, a lot of these small family farms are just holding on because a lot of times they have, you know, like the wife goes out and she works and provides extra income because, you know, for for this small farm or small business, whatever it is, a lot of times you're limited on the amount of income that you can have. The problem is that the government, politicians, especially Democrats, are more than happy to give away the store to the big guys.
Including your store.
Because the big guys can bring them money. True. Yes, there are times I really cringe, okay? But if you have a government who cannot give away the store, then what happens? Well, are you going to try and buy something that isn't there? You know, it's like trying to walk into an empty store and expect to buy something, and you can't.
And that is where I want...
And if you go to the government and you can't buy favors from the government, then, hey, I mean, we've solved the corruption problem. Tell that to Michael, will you? Because he's got me blocked. That's my point. That's what I've been trying to tell on everything.
But CSEC,
you really actually have to draw down the government to not be able to give the store away.
No, hold on, CSEC. Let me tell you what you have to do. I disagree completely with you there. I was up with you till up to a point. Here's what we have to do. We have to remember. First of all, we have to get out of the fallacy into believing that when the Constitution was written, you small farmer was written into it. I have a person I would like you to talk to sometime who would let you understand that the Constitution is nothing more than a capital document. It protects capital first and foremost. But we won't go there in this particular discussion because we don't have time right now. But let me tell you further. The next thing that I want to tell you, though, CSEC, is the following. We have to get to the point where the preamble of the Constitution means something. We the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union. We have to get to the point where we stop looking at government as a second or a third entity. In other words, when the Powell Manifesto came out, it made you believe that the government was something to be feared, or it's something that is there to damage you. And I'm telling you, CSEC, that that's not what it needs to be. Sometimes it is that way, and it is that way not because it is government intrinsically that way. It is because you, Michael CSEC, me, Egberto Willis, Michael Rudnen, Joseph Sanden, Daniel Ledo, it's because all of us, we are not taking command of government. And what I want to do is help empower people to take command of government. Let me give an example. What do you grow?
Well, we raise cattle on grass.
So oh, wow, that's great. Very well priced cattle. You get better money than the ones who do it on corn.
A little bit, yeah. It takes longer, but
yeah.
Here's my problem. Okay, we try and elect people to government, federal government, state government, all that kind of stuff. Okay, the problem that we run into isn't the politician; it's the bureaucrats. The bureaucrats have their own power now, and they have since FDR days. We the people go. You know, you can go as far as the politician,
Michael.
But the Congress has given up their power to the bureaucrats.
Michael, listen to me, and please listen to me, and try to believe what I'm going to tell you. That statement is only as true as the politician you elect. And listen to me, it's important that you understand that.
Well, it is true because I deal with bureaucrats day in and day out.
I am not here. Listen to what I'm saying.
So where I can't do things on my farm that are good.
Right.
I can't.
I get that, but here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying, and listen to me well, okay? When you make a statement and says the government is really run by the bureaucrats, that is another instantiation of the Powell Manifesto. They want you to believe that, and that is what you see. And the reason you see that is because what the politicians do is they use the bureaucrats as a level of abstraction. Do you understand what levels of abstraction is? A level of abstraction is a way to remove guilt. A level of abstract in software,
No.
it means something differently. It's different in software. But in politics, what it means is this.
Right.
In politics, it means I want to govern for the plutocrats. To govern for the plutocrats, I have to hold Mike Cisak down. To hold Mike Cisak down, I can't do it because Mike Cisak is not going to vote for me the next time around. So what I do is I create a bureaucracy. And that bureaucracy that I created then tells Mike Cisak what Mike Cisak can and cannot do. You see that? So what I'm saying is, don't ever sit down and take the blame away from the politician. The bureaucracy is controlled by the politician, but it's a level of abstraction. What it does, it allows the politicians to remove himself from blame while he's protecting the plutocracy. That is all it is. The plutocrats get all that they want. There's this chart that I don't remember who wrote the chart, but it said the following. If we get all the middle class people and see what they want from government, and we get all the plutocrats and see what they want from government, we get something like 10% of what we want. The plutocrats get about 90% of what they want. When you get those subsidies that Trump just went on TV and advertised for all those soybean farmers that are losing soybean, oh, it looks good and he has some farmers behind him. Most of that money is going to agribusiness, not to the small farmer. And these are the things that I'm trying as a progressive, as a liberal person, speaking to guys like you, and that's the reason I try to keep the tonation that I have with you guys as well, is that I want you to understand. I'm not asking you to become a Democrat. I'm not asking you to believe that in abortion, although I think you should. But I mean, I don't want my daughter to have one, but I don't want to control a woman. I'm not asking you to change your culture. I'm asking you to vote your interests and not just be completely ideological and follow all the theories that was created by the Powell Manifesto and packaged so that it looks believable, which is what's been happening for a long time. Look, I cracked that.
Go
ahead.
Let me make a quick point, and I'll go from here.
Yes,
but,
sir.
Okay, I think you might be familiar with what was it? The policy, Waters of the U.S.
Yes.
USA.
Yes, that's with the farmers. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm extremely familiar with that because I've got a dry creek that runs through my farm. Okay. Dry creek, basically what it means is that anytime it rains, it flows a little bit,
right,
and then dries up.
Yes.
Okay. According to that rule, that was not based on law. It was based on bureaucrat. Okay, pushed by Obama. Okay, I would have to leave that creek alone as it is, and not be able to touch it, not be able to clean it up, so that I don't have as much erosion. Because if you start getting trees in certain areas and stuff, that creek it starts to really wash away. You get these big S turns back and forth, and it just washes out like crazy. I like to keep it cleaned up of the nasty trees and things like that, and keep the erosion down.
Got it.
Okay. So with that rule that was not passed by Congress, it would have screwed me as a landowner. Okay. That's my problem. Now, the GOP Congress tried to do something as far as go after it in one way or another, but they were blocked by Obama.
And here's
because Obama wanted more and more control of people's land.
Okay, let me stop you right there, because I mean, when you say blocked by Obama, I'm going to guarantee you something. None of these guys want a lot more control of your land, because there's no purpose in having more control of your land. I mean, there's a reason that I don't know. Okay, I know there's some reason that I don't understand.
Because I'd have to depend more on the government, on government subsidies.
Well, here's the thing.
In order to get by.
Let me tell you something. That is a narrative.
That's the problem. That's it.
I understand that narrative. That narrative is hard for me to fathom. That narrative is hard for me to fathom. I tell you one thing. I would march to Congress with you as a progressive again if Obama were in office. After you explain to me what's going on and I come and make some videos as far as exactly how things work, because I don't understand the concept you're talking about, I would march with you, and I would create a posse to march with you. Here's the thing. These are the things that I'm talking about now, CSAC. This is where people get together and can get together, right? Let's assume everything that you explained to me about how that worked, how the creek worked and all of that. Let's assume all of that is accurate. You will get a whole bunch of progressive and liberals coming out there to fight with you, because that has nothing to do. That is, I think that is what they're trying. You just come out and say they want to take my property, or they want to have control over me, or whatever. Whether it's owned by a liberal or a Democrat, I mean, that is crazy. So what I'm saying to you is this here. I would march with you. Every progressive I know in Indivisible and everything would march with you to tell them, are you crazy? So I'm in there, and we would get to the underlying issue, but the problem is we are so separated on issues, right? That you are going to look at it and just say bad stuff. It's bad, it's no good, X, Y, Z. And because you're polarized on the right, and I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm a leftist, but I'm not polarized on the left. Like I said, I would walk hand in hand with any damn Republican, conservative, anarchist, anybody, if it's an issue that we're talking about, like you just explained. And I think more than trying to just go against each other, that is the kind of stuff that we're supposed to do, brother. Hey, man, I learn something every day.
And that's right.
I appreciate it.
And I can. There's always going to be a lot of issues, so I'll leave those to another day.
Great. Look, thank you, brother. You keep on listening, keep on calling, and share it to some of your conservative friends. I want more conservatives on this stuff. You have a good one, brother. Bye-bye.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. All right, folks, we're coming near the end of the show, and what I need to do is I need to ask you guys to subscribe. So don't leave me, but subscribe to me. Please do subscribe to me. Let me give you some information here. Let me get to the right screen. Please, folks, go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. I ask you so kindly to subscribe. Look, it's inexpensive, and you're doing something positive. And my conservatives that are listening too, I'm trying to do what's good for all of us. Be subscribers, and I'd like to be able to use some of you guys and saying, I've got these conservative subscribers. I do have conservative donors that I on the page that you can see. But look, folks, I want everybody to have a stake in this program. It's yours. Patreon.com/politicsdoneright, and it is very inexpensive. I ask you so kindly to join the family. I don't care what side you're on. I am a lefty, will remain a lefty. I'm sure CSAC is a righty. He's going to remain a righty, but we have a hell of a lot that we can actually do. So please, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Lado is in there too. Lado, you should be a member of Politics Done Right too, brother. Anyway, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Anybody who joins, remember you get to read my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Go ahead. It's online for you to read immediately. Also, I'm writing the book, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. From those who rigged it. And those who rigged it are screwing people on the left and the right. And in the process, instituting hate to ensure that we are looking at it going at each other's throats instead of where we should be going realistically. My other book, I've told you about my overweight days and my poundage, heavy poundage, and my 240 over 140 blood pressure, and that's true. It was 240 over 140. I should have stroked out. The paramedics had no clue why I stayed alive. But I changed my habits completely, and it's normal now, folks. Lost a lot of weight as well. Lose weight and be fit now. Say no to snake oil weight loss. That book's online as well. You can also buy all these books at Amazon.com. I tell you what I would love. I would love everybody that's listening to me right now, and to not only subscribe, but offer or encourage others to subscribe. And I tell you why. What I'm doing is important. What I'm doing is very, very important. There are not a lot of people, and let me take this off. Go to patreon.com. No, let me leave it on since I'm going to be talking about why I would like you to become a subscriber. What I'm doing is very important. A lot of people don't do this. People want to have screaming matches. People want to be just right all of the times. People want all these kinds of things, right? I am not looking to be right all the time. You heard the conversation that I entertained with Mike Cisak. All right, Mike Cisak. A lot of people I watch Mike Cisak in the room. He gets people pissed off because some of the things he says are off the wall, and to me, it's off the wall. All right, but Mike Cisak is informed. Mike Cisak is informed by someone some of us are not informed by. And who is right? I am pretty darn sure I'm right. But that's not enough. Mike thinks he's right, but that's not enough. The way you start doing these things is you have these levels of communication and try to talk to people. And I do that. I'm not changing my values. I may change things that I believe in when proven wrong, but I'm not changing who I am. The altruistic person that I am, the person that wants to help people that I am, that's not going to change. The belief that I want to give people more opportunities than others. Some people think that is some people think that's too much opportunity. I don't think so. I believe in, like I said, there are things that are gray. What I do is I entertain the discourse. And I think we need more shows like this that tries to do that than those that are just screaming. And as you can see, in here, absolutely every single person gets respect. Every single, you may not like necessarily what I say, but there's one thing you know you're going to get here, and that is you're going to be respected. So what I ask folks to do is if you are listening, if you listen to us sometimes, please subscribe to the program. Nobody is, please go ahead and go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. This is the end of the show. I must go now. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.